Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our monthly support group meeting. Welcome to the meeting of March 2026. So today we are happy to have with us a seasoned psychologist, Mrs Ifenyinwa Ijogi. She's going to take us through the topics self-esteem, body image, and identity. We know that as part of the challenges after burns has healed, we have a lot of change appearance because of scars and all those things. So Mrs. Ifenyinwa is going to guide us, give us a lecture to guide us through the things and how to cope with them. So Ma, you have the floor. We're happy to have you here and welcome. Thank you, Ma. You can go ahead with the lecture, the webinar discussion. Just feel free. We are very flexible. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for having me here today. Good evening, beautiful survivors, great survivors, and everyone here who's joined in to share from others' experiences and support all of us. So the topic is it borders on the very crux of humanity, of our essence. So we've been able to survive, yes, a very difficult situation. Surviving burns can never be easy. But after the survival, what next? So we know that to a very large extent, burns, of course, we all know, affects the body, the physical body. Yes. And we always hear too from the talks that we've been through, we've been given in other support groups, and what we even know as humans who are intelligent and who are intelligible, that it doesn't just affect the physical body, it also affects the psychological person and also the social well-being of that person. So it's a three-pronged thing. And if one is affected, it may likely spill over to the other parts of our person and affect those parts negatively or positively. But we know that burns is a negative event. It stills a lot. It breaks us. And because it doesn't just come like that, it burns, you most times the burns victims or survivors, sorry, experience physical changes from the burns. Many times the burns are on their faces, many times on their bodies, on their limbs. It shows physically. You see the physical marks of the trauma they had experienced. And that means after the healing from the hospital, it means that the person will go back home with a changed appearance. How does this changed appearance affect who we are? How does it affect our identity? How does it affect our self-image, our body image? How does it affect who we truly are? I know in many ways, some persons may have been lucky to have their scars, where they can be hidden, their arms, on upper bodies, limbs, upper limbs, where people, can't see because clothes cover. But when they take off their clothes in the silence of their rooms, how do they see themselves? Are they accepting of those scars? Do they still grieve over those scars? And it's totally fine to still grieve. There's nothing wrong with grieving over the scars or grieving over who you used to be. It shows that you're still human. You're still capable of having good emotions, right? Because you know what is right and what is wrong. So there's nothing bad about grieving at all. It's not a sign of weakness. It's not a sign that you're a bad person. It's a sign that you're aware that something has changed in you. And grieving only becomes a problem when you dwell on the grief and dwell on the problems and don't move on. So the topic is marrying three different psychological constructs: self-esteem, body image, and identity. These are very, very delicate constructs, situations that if we lost because of the changed appearance, our body image, our changed new appearance, we may not be able to navigate life functionally and happily. So, the whole essence of having this talk is to ensure that at the end of the day, small steps will start to be taken from today. If you have already started taking small positive steps, beautiful. If you're contemplating taking those steps to improving, you know, your self-esteem, your body image, and your new identity, beautiful, then this talk might just help you. Being here today might just help you. If you've already started and somewhere along the line you lost it due to social stigma or some social issues or some even personal issues, some, innate problems, maybe this talk also would be beneficial to you. I don't know what stage of healing you are at, but it's good to know that we can never be at the same healing stage. Our stages of healing will differ depending on this, this how we view ourselves, the extent of our healing, the duration of how long we've lived with the changed appearance or since the traumatic experience occurred. So many things will come to play, you know, and it will determine your stage of healing. But it doesn't even matter the stage. You can start or finish up or continue. There's always never even a finishing, usually. Just know that you can start your healing process and you can always continue your healing process depending on your stage. And it will be nice for you to know that even though you're a born survivor, you're not the only one who is at a stage of change. We all humans like you, we all also are going through stages of changes in different aspects of our lives. So let's hit the ball rolling. Can anybody unmute and please answer, because I'd said I'd want this to be interactive. I'd just like to ask two questions, and I'll be asking a lot of questions. Anyways, some of them I want them to be answered. Some of them I would want you to hold them as thoughts. That after the session, you move and digest and make sense of them. So, but for now, um, I don't know if anyone here will be willing to share what they think self-esteem is. What do you understand by self-esteem? Or what do you understand by body image or identity? Anyone who's willing to attempt any of them, I'll be happy. What is self-esteem? What do you
Hello, good
think body
evening,
image
all.
is? Thank you. Good evening.
I'm Pius calling from Zaria in Kaduna State.
Beautiful. You're welcome, Pius.
I'm a born
Okay.
survivor.
Okay.
Let me start from the easier one. Identity. Identity is that unique features of a particular thing or person. That thing that
Beautiful.
is only with you. That is identity. And then self-esteem. I can say is the way you
Mm-hmm.
carry yourself or the way you feel in the presence of others.
Mm-hmm.
I think the third
Beautiful.
one you said, the third one is body what?
Body image.
Okay.
Body image.
Body image can be the physical physique of a person.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Pius. I love your courage to attempt the questions, and you did well to, answering them. Thank you. Is anybody else willing
Thank
to share
you.
what they think? There are no wrong answers at all. Absolutely no wrong answers. Absolutely. So please feel free to share what you think about these three topics. Okay, while we're thinking, I could just go ahead to buttress some of the definitions that Mr. Pius has nicely helped us out with. So, for self esteem, he was correct. Self esteem is how one values self and how someone feels about themselves. It's no big English, oh. It's how you value yourself and how you feel about yourself. It
Yeah.
talks about how much you like or accept yourself, how
Mm-hmm.
much sense of worth you give to yourself. Like, am I good enough or am I bad enough? It can be negative. It can be positive self-esteem. It can be low. It can be, it can be moderate. It can be high. So, am I good enough? Your self-esteem is what makes you question if you're good enough. If you're still valuable. And it's like your confidence in your abilities. That's self-efficacy. If you know that I am capable of doing this, it boosts how you value yourself. So that's your self-esteem. Does anyone here think that with the burns, the changed appearance, or the experience of knowing that they went through, burns, does anyone think that their self-esteem was touched negatively? So when I interviewed some of the burns victims, sorry, survivors, I got to find out that some of them, in fact, not some, all the ones I interviewed, initially all had self-esteem issues, but as the months progressed into years of their recovery, they started building back self-esteem, but they still have more to build. So I'm guessing as well that the same thing is applicable to many other, survivors. Self-esteem would have been questioned because of the traumatic experience, the changed appearance. The second is body image. So, body image is essentially how one perceives their physical appearance. It's a perception. It's a perception of how you think you look. It's also how you feel about your body. Like, are you proud of your body? Are you ashamed of your body? Are you satisfied with how you look? Are you dissatisfied with how you look? Then it also is not just a personal thing. It's about how you think others see you as well. How do they view me? How are they looking at me? How do they see the scars? Does it horrify them? Does it make them pity me? Does it make, it's all under self body image. How others see you, how you perceive your physical appearance, how others perceive your physical appearance. And by the way, sometimes that perception can be distorted based on how you manage the perception. The distortions can come in a way that, see, you could look terrible for some persons who are positively minded. They could look very bad on their faces, but they do not allow the physical affect how they feel. So they could feel great about themselves, even though they know that they don't look so like they used to look before the incident happened. And on the other hand, as well, for those who are a little bit negatively skewed in the way they perceive things, those ones are more likely to see themselves, even if the burns are not so bad, they will exaggerate how, the extent of the injury. So body image is a very, very personal, is deeply personal. It's It's how the person actually views things, appearance-wise. Then the third is the identity. Like he rightly said, is who you are. So the identity involves all our personal traits, your personal traits. Traits like what? Lovingness, kindness, shyness, resilience, boldness, those things that are unique to you, that make you who you are. Another part of identity comes with the roles. You could be the roles that you offer or you play, like your work. Are you a student? Are you a professional? Are you a caregiver? Those are also parts of your identity. After all, every organization must give an identity card. That's the identity. My identity card carries National Hospital social, clinical psychologist. Another person will have medical doctor. Another person written boldly on the identity cards. So that anybody who sees this immediately relates to who you are. So your role as well is also your identity. Your identity also includes your values and your beliefs. It includes your culture, your gender, your experiences, and your life stories. So, identity is at the core of who we are. Now, if your body image is poor, it can affect your self esteem, which in turn shapes how securely or fragile you shape your identity. Let me say that again. If you have a poor body image, it means your self-esteem will not be optimal. It could be low. If you have a low self-esteem, the way you view yourself and your values and your beliefs could change. It could also affect your personal traits. If you were ordinarily a bold person before the traumatic experience of the burns, you could end up changing an identity to become a shy and withdrawn person who you ordinarily weren't, but the experience has made you shape your identity. So the whole idea of having us talk here is, even though this might have happened to some persons, I'm not saying all of us have experienced, low self-esteem because of poor body image, and then it's also affecting our identities. I'm not saying all of us are. Some of us have been strong and have built ourselves back, have not just bounced back, but have bounced forward. If this is what you're going through, or you have gone through this, beautiful. You haven't done anything bad. It's just the way that the brain, sometimes we just, or sometimes also overlook the function, the power of the brain. So if I was to talk a little bit technical, I would say these things would make you understand. So these are all functions of the brain. They're not functions of the body. They are functions of your brain, how you perceive perception. These are all perceptions under perception, and it's all controlled by the brain. So there's something called the neurobiology of trauma or neurobiology of being a born survivor. Now, I don't know if I should go into some small medical jargon and talk about, the cortical map. Well, let me save us all that. But maybe I could just break it down a little bit. There's a
Amira,
way that your
Amira,
brain.
Amira.
Naam, kaninang. Okay. So when we have burns, the somatosensory cortex is usually disrupted. What's the somatosensory cortex? In fact, I think I should spare us all this plenty big talk. Anyways, it always usually leads to, we have a way that our brains have saved who we are and how we are and what we are. Then post-trauma, that map of how the brain has stored who we are is changed because of our new appearance, because of how we perceive ourselves, because of how we, feel others will perceive us. And that brings about a cognitive dissonance, meaning there's a clash between how we were before and how we are now. That map is a bit distorted in our brains. So it's not like in our power sometimes that we want to control how we want to perceive, our body image, we want to blah, blah, blah. There are some biological processes that are going on as well, unknown to us, but they actually are going on. But when we see those biological processes play out in behavioral patterns, we can now work on the behavioral patterns that are not very palatable, that are not very, good to people or even to yourself. So it's the behavioral patterns that we're talking about, but at the stem of most behavioral patterns is a biological framework underneath. So that's said and done. Let's move to very more practical stuff here. So I don't get us thinking too much. So the idea is not to think too much about too much Turanchian education. Well, I'm going to, at this point, ask one question, and I pray one person answers. When sometimes you think that your self-esteem, is broken because of your body image, how do you talk yourself out of those down times? Especially when you realize that the scars might be permanent. How do you talk yourself out? This is a support group. The idea of a support group is to share experiences so that other survivors can learn from, from you. You learn from yourselves. That's the idea of support group. So that you also can identify that with that person who has been through something very similar to what you also have been through. So how do you talk yourself? How do you encourage yourself when you're feeling emotionally down, thinking, low about yourself because of your changed appearance? Can anybody attempt to help us out? So how do you talk yourself out of the down times? After realizing that those scars are permanent, so that body image that you think, you're thinking is actually, what it is. How do you encourage yourself out of feeling down and blue and upset?
Okay. Though it's not easy though. You sometimes you even forget there's a scar. Maybe something just comes up, just flashed back, like to remind you that uh there's this feeling that wants to maybe make you feel intimidated a bit. Maybe you wanted to wear something skimpy or like a vest. You will not say, "Aish, my scar. Oh, no, look at me." You will now sit down and like, but do you know this thing is not leaving this place? Like, there's no time like to go for you to wear that
Mm,
vest, like for you to wear it. So
mm-hmm,
you know that it's
mm-hmm,
just there. Just wear it. Ignore anybody
mm-hmm,
staring. Just help yourself. If not, you it won't go. This is the new you.
mm,
This is the new looks, and for the fact that you're
mm,
even alive, it's something. So I'll just tell myself, I'll
mm,
just walk and just walk out majestically. That's just it. When I'm walking, they even if they stare, I don't even want to have the mindset that anybody is staring at me. The only thing I know that is I'm comfortable in whatever I'm wearing or whatever it is, because I have accepted that this is the new me, and it's left for anyone to accept. If they don't, self-awareness is enough for me. So I'll just go ahead with it. That's what I do.
Perfect. Thank you so
Yes.
much, Cindy. That's a beautiful perspective, and I think we have to learn and pick a few things from what Cindy has just shared, because it shows somebody who is resilient and resolute on not staying at where, the burns want her to stay. She's she intentionally changes her narrative from staying low. She has done that and has found and she has also accepted, the situation of things. Many of us, I know sometimes she would still get to points where she does not accept at all,
Yes.
but generally, yeah, she has accepted, because she's one of the persons I had interviewed, and I saw that an acceptance, there was a strong acceptance of her status quo. But with that acceptance, she's been able to say, I will not let it, decide who I am. She's actively working on her change narrative. Well done, Cindy. Thank you so much. Keep being
Thank
that
you.
strong person that you are.
Thank
Great.
you, ma'am. Mhm.
Is there anybody else, or should I ask another question, because Cindy has done us well with that question? Another question I'll ask is, what has been the hardest part of adjusting to changes in appearance for you? What has been the hardest part of adjusting to changes in appearance for you? If your appearance changed due to the fire incident, what has been the hardest part of adjusting? That's a very big question. I'm going to leave that for you to go home and think about. What's the hardest part? And then when you do discover, Dr. Onu, please permit them, if they want to get back to me to talk with me, talk things out, talk things through, I'm available. Because sometimes when you have support groups like this, people become more aware of their vulnerabilities. We must create a safe space for them to feel back, safe. So therapy post support group is also important for personalized, for persons who want it. I'd also want to ask, what helps you feel like you are yourself again? What did you lose? Do you think you lost anything? And it would be nice for us to also think and always have it at the back of our minds to move away from, self objectification. I am a burnt person. You're objectifying the burnt yourself. I am a burnt person. Move away from that and move to a positive affirmation of who you are, because who you are is way beyond just an appearance. You are much more than your appearance. So you move beyond, I am a burnt person, or I had burnt, that narrative, to I am a person who has integrated a burn injury. Meaning, even with a with a burnt injury, I'm able to still navigate life, functionally without issues. Now, I'm also going to teach something simple. One good narrative I think might work. This is if you can see what I'm showing you guys up here. Can you see these two notes? I need to know if you can see these notes I'm showing you.
Yes, we can see.
So this is beautiful. So what can you see here? What can you see? What notes can you
The
see?
1,000 naira note. A 1,000 naira note.
Beautiful. Can you also see this one?
Yeah, the old 1,000 naira.
And then this is a new one, right?
Yeah.
Beautiful. Do these same notes have this equal value? As in, what this 1,000 naira note can buy, would it be the same thing that this 1,000 naira note can buy?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes,
Beautiful.
ma'am.
Beautiful. So it means the value of these notes have not changed.
Yeah.
Perfect. Now, I want you to look at this as me who is burned. It does not diminish my intrinsic value. I am still worth the person I used to be. Look at me. I may be old, I may be, not as sharp as this one because of the burns. I may have changed because this was, I have changed because of life. This one has gone through a lot of plenty hands touch, blah, 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 and all that. It has changed. See it as the change that came about through the burns, but it has not changed my intrinsic value. I am still worth being called a human being. I'm still worthy of love. I'm still worthy of respect. I'm still worthy to respect people. I'm still worthy to respect others, to love others. I'm still that same person. I also would like to say that while I spoke with one or two persons during that interview, I also realized that some people's worth also strengthened positively. I realized that some people were not very empathetic. But after their situation, after the burns, they became more empathetic to humanity. They became kinder. One person actually shared a story about how he now goes to the hospitals because of the help he received while he was, there, and saw people who didn't get help and had problems with their healing. Now he goes to the hospital intentionally to help those who are financially stranded because it takes a lot. It takes a lot of finances to care for, a fresh wound, a fresh burns wound. So he has become more humane. When he sees people, he feels what they struggle, what they go through, trying to ensure that they actually get, their right medications and, all the treatments they need. So he's changed from being that, laid back, hard man, on uninvolved to this person who is more involved about the welfare and well-being of persons who have burns. So his value has changed a bit to something more positive. Does your value change? Will you allow your value to be polished by the experience that you have gone through? Go home and walk with it, run with it. It's something that you should not allow, sleep. Sit back, go back home and think, what has this burns brought to change in my life? What would it make me be? What would it help me become? Some people, it has spurred them to become achievers. Oh, let me compensate for, my looks by making myself, more valuable by getting an education. It has helped people do that. This burns. If you're one who has not used that to help yourself, think, sit back, take a deep breath, and work on it because it's something that you should work on for the positive change, for you to have a very positive self identity. Now,
Yeah.
yes, I was not thinking I was going to stay till 8 o'clock because I had another appointment, but I have one or two things that, I would just want to share with you before we go. it's like an affirmation card. The last time I think I spoke with one person and she told me, in fact, I think it's a normal slogan in this group, that you are not your Cindy.
Ma,
Yes. What's the mantra here? Please, can you repeat what you always say to encourage yourselves? You are
oh,
not your bonds. Yes.
yeah, because we exist, you are not alone.
Beautiful. Then I think you said something during our interview as well, that you would not allow burns to define you.
Yes,
I don't
yes,
know how
ma.
many of us, yes, I think I remember you said that because that was a profound statement you made. I think I would like us here to go by that. No matter what we're going through, we should not allow those negative life experiences define who we are. So I would like us to have a few more, affirmations that we can even put on our phones, write them down and paste in our rooms or something, or put at our office tables or something, to always remind us. One, I
Yeah.
just gave you an example of the Naira note that does not change in value because it's been through negative experiences. So my value is intrinsic. So that's like the Naira truth. It's intrinsic. It cannot change because I shouldn't change. I shouldn't let myself feel ashamed and low in spirit and have a low self-esteem and think I'm not capable of achieving anything and then think that, oh, I've become this person that nobody would want to relate with. No, all these things are all negative energy, which you don't need. We're trying to pull out from that mindset. Sometimes you could get there, and it's good to know that healing is not a straight process. There's the downs and ups of the process. So when you're at the downs, always remember that you are not a victim of a story that ended, but the author of a story that is still being written in gold. You're not a victim of a story that ended. That's why you're a survivor. Tell yourself that I am the author of a story that is still being written in gold. Tell yourself I am the author of my own life. Another thing that could help you, just in case sometimes you want to go out or you're already out and you don't know how people will react to you. These things can actually affect your your self-esteem, how people relate with you, how they they they, they interact with you and all that. If that happens and you're not sure as well, sometimes it could just also be your mindset. You could be projecting to them, thinking that they are the ones who are, reacting this way. But you haven't dealt with the healing of your confidence, that you think that other persons are looking down on you. See, if you speak out, you are bold, you come out anywhere you are, people will relate with you on that same basis. But if you go shy, if you go apologetic, if you go sorry, if you go, people will treat you the way, there's this popular saying, you are addressed how you dress, you show up. So if you show up with a bold, outspoken, nice,
Appearance.
respectful personality, that's the same way people would most likely, reciprocate. But if you go with something is wrong with me attitude, I'm not good enough, and will they like me? It's not my, people will pick it. So sometimes we are the ones who self-stigmatize.
Yeah.
We should deal with learning to accept. If you accept your situation, you will deal with a huge percentage of self-stigma. And then wait for the outside world. But when the outside world is going to give you, whichever way, if you're feeling so uncertain about how your response is meeting people or going out, one thing that works in psychology, that's an anxiety problem. One thing that works in psychology is taking deep breaths. Deep breaths doesn't just mean breathing in and out. There are techniques. You have this 3-6-7 technique, or 3-7-8 technique, or you have the 4-4-4 box technique. So quickly, we could all learn the four. I will end with that one, with the breathing technique. Another thing that helps you brings down the overstimulation of your brain, to make you feel anxious. Another thing that helps you deal with the overstimulation of your brain is a simple grounding exercise that brings you back to your reality. Simply look at, so it's called the 3-2-1 exercise. You look at three things you see and name. So now you're trying to deal with anxiety, with uncertainty of how people will deal with you and your own emotions. We need you to calm your central nervous system, your sympathetic nervous system. We need you to calm your brain down so that you'll be able to face the world in a better, mental state or emotional state. So one thing that works if you practice is the grounding. So three things that you do is look at three things that you can actually see. Is easy. What can you see? You can see people, you can see your phone, you can see cars moving. If you're outside, you can see trees. It brings, your reality back to it. In fact, it distracts your brain from being hypervigilant to just making you know that you're still human, you're still down here. There's nothing wrong, there's nothing, no threat around you. And then you also, after looking to three things you can see, touch two things. That's why it's called the 3-2-1. Touch two things. Touch your hair, touch your clothing. If you're carrying a handbag, touch it. These things will just bring you back to reality and leave your brain, really feeling more relaxed. Then the last one is, the 3-2-1. Tell yourself one truth. I am a survivor. I am real. I am human. I am worthy to be respected. I am worthy to be treated with respect. Tell yourself that one truth. And then take the deep breathing exercise. And then you're good. Your brain relaxes with this small, very simple exercises. Your brain relaxes and you're not in that fight or flight mode where your body is excited to negativity. You're down back to normal functioning. And then you can now face the world and say, okay, hey, I'm good to go. And then it will help you. It always helps with anxiety issues. Always. So I will close by teaching us, if we haven't already learned it, but even if we have, even this small talk I have talked, I also need to do the breathing exercise to calm my brain down. So we could do it together. I think we should do the 4-4-4 box one. So the 4-4 breathing exercise says, breathe in, take in breath for 4 seconds. Hold the breath for 4 seconds. And then breathe out for 4 seconds. Then you now breathe normally for another 4 seconds. Then you start the cycle again, or the cycle of 4-4-4. You do it consistently for like 5 circles, and then this biologically calms down your brain. So you need this when you're in an anxious situation, or when you're feeling upset about so many things, or when you don't even understand your emotional state because of how you're feeling about your changed appearance. For now, we're specific now on our changed appearance. So let's go on and try the breathing exercise. Shall we? At the count of 2. Remember the rules. Breathe in for 4 seconds. But before we breathe in, we have to sit in an upright position. It's not something you just do anyhow. Sit in an upright position, but you have to be comfortable in that upright position. Sit in the upright position. Position your arms on top of your thighs, on your laps. And then 1, 2, we go. I hope we're all sitting properly. This way, we will calm down hyperstimulation of our brains. Because when we're thinking about our body image, thinking about our changed appearance, thinking about who we are, thinking that is all overthinking. Overthinking will not take us anywhere. We need to calm our brains down for us to function optimally. So let's try the breathing experience at the count of 3. 1, 2, 3, go. Breathe in for 4 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold the breath for 4 seconds. 3, 2, 3, 4. And then breathe out 4 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4. You can breathe out with your mouth open, or you can breathe out making a sound, releasing the air. This helps a great deal. So I hope we've been able to learn 1 or 2 things and keep those affirmations always at our backs, at the back of our heads. I am not a victim of a story that ended. I am the author of a story that is still being written. My value is intrinsic. The birds did not change me. My worth has not changed. So remember, when, the world gets too fast or too hard to us, always remember to take your deep breaths, to do the grounding exercise, and to affirm yourself with positivity. Thank you so much for listening.
So I want to thank our speaker today, Madam Ifenyinwa. Thank you for taking us through the talk. She did justice to the topic, told us what our identity we are. Yes, so she reminded us she defined the topics, self-esteem, which she said is how you perceive yourself. And then body image is how we perceive our physical appearance. And then identity is who we are, your personal traits, just to take us through what she told us and to remind us. Yes, and then I think the most interesting part of this talk was the practical aspect, the positive affirmations. Thank you so much for this. We are so grateful. In fact, the illustration of the Naira notes is an excellent one. And normally we'll not even think of it that way, but something as simple as that can make a huge difference. So we thank you for coming. We thank you for giving us this talk. Thank you for your time. Yes, we appreciate, and you are a part of the family already. Please do not be tired of us because we keep calling on you from time to time to at least give us 1 or 2 talks and try to spare us up when our spirits are low. So we really appreciate this. Thank you.